is falling in love with you. And so we're going to be discussing you and you finding out or figuring out how to fall back in love with yourself if you're not in love with yourself, and how to stay in love with yourself. Because a lot of times we go through phases of where we like ourselves or we think we look pretty, but just because you look pretty or you like yourself, that doesn't mean that you're in love with yourself. There is a big difference. Love. What is love? What is love, ladies? For me, it's powerful. I think love is extremely powerful. I think it could be volatile.
Nurturing.
Nurturing.
Is volatile the same as explosive? Like when two parts come together and you're like, BAM!
Okay, I think explosive. When you say it like that, explosive. I think it's giving. Ladies, now I'm going to stop talking.
Here's one thing that's really
Is the definition of love. All right. When you go online and you see the definition of love, it gives you three types. It gives you the familial one in regards to family. And so, you know, when it comes to your family, it is an emotion of love, of nurturing, of affection, based on kinship. And then, of course, it gives you the one of when it's a significant other. It gives you the attraction based on sexual desire, of longing, of wanting. Usually that has to do with when you're falling in love with someone or you're in love with a significant other. And then the last definition it gives us is based on admiration. That's the one we share with our friends. That type of love in which there is no type of, the love actually comes out of a camaraderie, out of something of you having something in common. And so there are three types of love that we as individuals that we experience every day. The one that we of course experience first is the one that comes from familial ties, of kinship, of nurturing. And so that is the first one that that is the first love that you will usually always experience. Is the love that you have when you, of course, you are carried in the womb by your mother. Of course, we don't remember this. You know, we don't remember this at all. But that is usually the first love that you experience. The person who is carrying you, who is rubbing their belly and is talking to you and is cooing to you as you're inside, which you may not realize it, but it is forming who you are and whether or not if you feel safe and secure once you come out of the womb. And then, of course, once you do come out, then you're feeling that nurturing and that cuddling and that regular affection. So you are feeling as you're growing up as a child what love is supposed to be like. And so when you do meet that significant other or whoever you have your first crush on, the person that you fall in love with, you have an understanding of what love is supposed to be and what it's supposed to feel like. And even in regards to trust, when you meet different people, like people who end up becoming your friends or who end up becoming your colleagues as you go throughout life. And how did you feel the first time you fell in love? The first time you ever fell in love, just think about it. The first time that you ever fell in love.
that's why you wanted to get that. It was extremely explosive, and it was exactly as Jenny said.
So now we're coming from a place of the individuals that we are falling in love with are validating us. They are giving us what we were missing, whether it was respect, validation, good, warm, gushy feelings, nice, soft caresses. No, I'm just teasing. All right, so now I'm going to ask what made you fall in love with this person. The person that you ended up falling for, and it doesn't have to be the one you were actually thinking about the first time you fell in love with. It could be the second or third person you fell in love with, for me the fifth. No, I'm teasing. You know, what made you fall in love with that person? And I think I'm going to start with physical. Let's start physical. When you first saw them, physical means when you first saw them, what attracted you to that person? Now let's talk personality. What was it? Because we know usually that's when we first see somebody, that's usually how we end up falling in love anyway, is what we see first, because you always have to be attracted to someone before you end up falling in love. Usually, not always, but usually that's the way we as humans tend to work. We got to see you, then that's what's going to determine whether or not I'm even going to give you the time of day, talk to you, let you buy me coffee, look, buy you a piece of gum. You know, that's what's gonna, that's what it's going to determine. But now, once we meet them, that is what will usually seal the deal for us. So, in regards to their personality, what about their personality made you fall in love with them? And I mean, that's usually what tends to keep us, whether or not they're great listeners, whether or not they're soft people, whether or not they are open to us. Funny, because I will not lie, I do. I like all of those combinations, and I tend to look, and I think most of us do. Most of us tend to look for individuals that are soft and gentle, and who make us laugh, because laughter, that also, that allows you to see somebody's personality. How did they make you feel? How did they make you feel? Now, I know what you liked about them. It was blonde hair. We liked sense of humor. How did you show that person that you loved them? What did you do to show that person that you love them? Because anybody can cook, but it's what you cook for them. Do you cook for them to please them because you know that they like this and you know they like it a certain way, or do you just cook for them so they can eat?
Well, like if we talk about cooking, I know I definitely cooked something for one of my explosive loves that I could not stand to eat. Only did I eat it.
What was it? Was it liver?
Well, actually, I do like chicken livers, but it was the other liver.
Beef liver?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I ate it.
See, so you did things out of, what is it? They call it a labor of love.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't like to do it, but you did it because you loved them.
Mm-hmm.
A labor of love. It's called a labor of love. And women, we do it all the time. We do things for the people that we love because it pleases them and it makes them happy. And we're happy that it pleases them, even though we may not like to do it, but we want to please them. I mean, I would pace around, I would do things like I'd watch TV, I'd watch Oprah, I would like go and get stuff to kind of munch on and nibble on, and I remember sometimes, and call me crazy, but this is what I did when I was young. I would go and I remember I would look, he didn't know this, now he does. I would go and I remember I would look out the blinds to see when he was coming. Because I was anxious. I was anxious. Yeah, anticipating. Yeah. I was anticipating his arrival, and so that's the way I felt. And so I know that a lot of times when our significant others, whomever we're in love with, leaves, and like I said, it could be to go down to the store. It could be to go out with their friends. It leaves us in a state of just, do you love you? And if you do, how do you show it? And if you don't, why not? I mean, because really, there is no gray area. It is a yes or no question. Do you love you? I mean, there's a difference between sometimes, like I said earlier, thinking that you're pretty, thinking that you look nice, thinking that you look good. Hey, I'm doing it today. Hey, I got a new hairstyle. Somebody told me I look good. But there's a big difference in looking at you and being able to say, hey, I truly love myself. And I know, especially for us as females, that is something that we identify ourselves with, even though we really sometimes don't realize it. And it's also a question that I don't even know if we ask ourselves. that question of if, do I love myself? You know, I mean, to the extent of that we should. You know, because sometimes it's very, very broad. You don't have to answer that question, but I do want you to think about that. But I would like to ask you, when there have been times when you have loved yourself, how did you show yourself that type of love? Like for me, I do it once a year. Only once a year, because I'm getting ready for a contest. So I get my hair done by somebody who just knows what she's doing, and I get a pedicure and I get a manicure. And that is how I show myself love. You know, only once a year. Only once a year. Yeah, but I'm a cheapskate too. When, in order for myself, in regards to me love, I do the gym. The gym is my outlet. It's, you know, me building my body, you know, and watching it grow and watching it change. You know, that's how I show myself love. If superficially, the gym and Vera Bradley, and that once a year pedicure and manicure, you know. Oh, I meant pedicure, manicure. We answered our question about, do you love yourselves? So, are you in love with yourselves? Have you ever been in love with yourself?
Yes.
Okay, so I have one individual that has been in love with with themselves. All right, and so has anyone else ever been in love with themselves? I'm asking you all that because we have all experienced that excitement of when we fall in love with somebody. We see them, we get nervous, we get shaky, we get this warm, hot, gushy feeling. You know, we blush when we see them. And I've noticed that we are so quick to go outside of ourselves for love, but we never get that gushy feeling for ourselves. We never get that quick fluttering feeling for ourselves. You know, we never look in the mirror and literally look at ourselves from head to toe and just appreciate who we are, even the flaws. Because people don't realize when we're in love with somebody, we also not only love what's good in them, we love what's bad in them. We may not like it, because you know, you can dislike somebody and still love them. We may just not like it, but we still love them and we're still accepting, versus ourselves. We are so hard on ourselves. We are the first to shoot ourselves down. In regards to disapproval, you know, we will even shoot ourselves down to people before they can shoot us down. Mm-hmm. And that's just a defense mechanism of making sure that before they say it, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, I'm gonna put myself out there. And we consider that showing ourselves love, and it's not. What you're doing is you're giving your power away to other people instead of reclaiming and keeping it to yourself. Because there's nothing like an individual who knows, you know what, I know that I got this big gap in my tooth. I know that I got this bald spot on the top of my head. Like, you know, no, I'm just teasing. You know, I know that, you know, that I don't smell good as normal. I don't know. There are different things for different people. You know, everybody has flaws. Me, I've got one shoulder that's bigger than the other. I know this, I see this, I attempt to compensate for it, and sometimes I'm not successful at it. All right, but I am able to see those flaws and to still love myself and love that flaw. And then for me, I always tell myself, it gives me character. This is what makes me me. Like this scar over my eye, this is what makes me me. I know that God, like someone said earlier, I know that the reason why I am where I am is because, you know, I'm supposed to be here. You know, and that I am love. You know, I am love. And we ourselves, we never see ourselves like this. You know, when we talk about love and what's our connection to it, when we speak of it and how we connect to it, it's never in regards to ourselves. It's never in regards to I'm in love with myself, I love myself. And if we do, we speak about it extremely broadly, like, yeah, I love myself. You know, yeah, I like myself. But those words, we say we mean it, we really don't mean it. We just mean we like ourselves at certain times. And usually it's the superficial part, not the me, not the temperamental me, not the when somebody's done got on my nerves me, not the me when I wake up in the morning and my hair is standing up on this side and I got sleep in my eye and my breath smells like it could kill 2,000 dragons. All right, we don't speak about ourselves like that. When we speak about it, speak of love, we speak of it, of course, romantically, passionately, adoringly. But again, it's always in regards to something or someone else. We speak about it in regards to our family members, to our friends, to other things. Like, I know that sometimes when I pick up that Vera Bradley, I really do feel this rush of hotness. Okay? I see a Vera Bradley, I just get this tingling feeling like that purse is mine. And there are people out there who feel the same way, like about cars, about a house, about a dog. There are people who love their animals more than they love themselves. Mm-hmm. And I'm always thinking, no, there's something wrong with this picture. It's okay to love foo-foo. It's all right. But if you are going to take your animal to get cleaned, or you're going to wash them yourselves and make sure their nails are done, are clipped, and you're going to do all these things, and you can't do that for yourself, something's wrong. And so how about the connection that we have with love is not even linked to us as individuals. It's linked to everything that's outside of us and not within us. And I think that that's something that we've got to learn to start changing. And it is not easy. It's not easy. Depending on the person and what's went on in your life, that's what's going to determine how you approach your path or your way to loving yourself. We have to get out of the mindset that to be in love with ourselves is arrogance. First of all, even if it is arrogance, it's a good arrogance. Never be ashamed to be in love with yourself. Never be ashamed, never be afraid to fall in love with yourself. And when I say fall in love with yourself, I mean literally, you've got to be able to look at yourself. And let me say this. I would challenge you all the next time you are with you. And I am only saying this because I've done it. I continue to do it. To look at you. To look at your hair, to look at your forehead, look at your eyebrows, look at your eyes, look at your nose, your lips, your cheeks, your shoulders, your breast, your booty, your thighs, your feet, your hands, and I'm serious. Look at them step by step and stop seeing the flaw. See the beauty. Because trust me, whomever was with you, they were able to look at you and see the beauty in you. While you were down in yourselves, and let me say this, even individuals, people will say things mean to you, to hurt you, but usually those individuals aren't happy with themselves. And what they're doing is projecting. And we take those things personally, because they brought out something that maybe we've noticed. But you are able to take the power of it is when they're able to reclaim it, and when they say, and look at you with your gap in your, you got the big gap in your teeth, you're a heavy woman, and you can say, I know this, but I still love me. I still look good. I still am what I am, and I'm not going to allow you to take what makes me need me. You've got to start, or we have to start loving ourselves and falling back in love with ourselves and finding what is good in us. And sometimes you may not think there's anything good about you, but there is something good about you, even if it's nothing but the color of your eyes. If you know you got some beautiful blues, some beautiful greens, some sexy browns, some deep darks, start there. Let that be your beginning and your starting point to where that you allow to flourish. If it's your hair, let that be the starting point. If it's your lips, let that be the starting point. And I will say that this can be done. It doesn't matter who you are, what background you come from, what age you are, what sex you are. It's never too late to start and to create and to fall in love with the new you. You've just got to be willing to take on the challenge because it's not easy. You have to, for me, some people, they talk to themselves every day. I won't lie, ladies and gents, I have a mirror, and I say this, I've said it, and I say it all the time. I've got a mirror. Now, it's not in my front door anymore because that was kind of arrogant. But it is in my bathroom. But in my old place, I used to have a mirror by myself, by my door. And before I used to walk out of it, I used to go out and I used to kiss myself. Like, girl, doing it today, you look good. And that's what I used to do. I still do that. Now I do it in my bathroom. My daughter, she goes to my bathroom and she's like, Mommy, are those lip prints on your mirror? I'm like, yes, it is. You know, because that's what I do. You know, I talk to myself every day. You know, and for me, it is a daily. For some people, they don't have to do that. You have individuals who are coming from a background or a foundation where their foundation was already strong. You know, they started from the beginning with a type of nurturing and stability and encouragement in regards to self-love. The reality of it is, especially in regards to women, it's not like that. We don't come from a base or foundation of self-love. A lot of times, we have to learn it on our own. Somebody has to teach it to us, or we have to figure it out based off of trial and error. And so, in doing that, it can be a daily trial. But the cool thing is that sometimes it will become so natural to you that you will forget you were even doing it. You know, and so our connection to love and us, has to start being integrated as one instead of it being separated and us looking at it on the outside versus us looking at it on the inside. Those bonds. What are some things that stop us from appreciating ourselves or loving ourselves? Fear. So there's fear. What are other things that bind us or stop us from admiring ourselves?
Insecurity, which goes along with fear.
Insecurity, being unsure, you know, of ourselves or of other people, what people think about us. And I think too, another thing is we care too much about other people. You know, and when I say that, I'm not even just talking about significant others. I am talking about the people that we work with. You know, the people that we interact with. Why do we give people that type of power over us?
I don't know why I did it.
What makes us give so much power over individuals to have the ability to be able to change? I mean, because realistically, if it's one negative comment, and it can, usually that's how it is, even if it's based on how you look or how somebody thinks you sound or something that you do and somebody looks at it disapprovingly, usually all it takes is that one time. Why is it that, why have we given individuals on the outside so much power in regards to us needing that type of validation?
But I think it's also kind of like it's easier to blame someone else than it is yourself in certain situations. So, you know, it's almost like, you know, were you looking for that one negative thing?
That's it.
I was looking
for
for
some instances that we understand that these are the things that are affecting us. So how do we break free of these? We know that and that's what I was trying to get at. How do you break free of this? You know, how do you break free of this? You know that you have these burdens, because that's the thing. You've got burdens, and you're carrying baggage from the past, and it still has power. So how do you break free of these bonds? What are steps that you can do to break free of these bonds? You know, and you don't have to answer. If you don't know, I believe those are things that you really need to start evaluating within yourself. And it's okay to sit down and write this out. But you might want to think about, how do I break, what are things that I can do? You know, I know that when I go to work and if somebody I speak to, and you're right, because realistically that's disrespectful. That's what that is. And it's not that they didn't speak with you, it's the fact that that individual showed you disrespect in your face. you know, and so it's learning how to cope and to deal with that. That's when you have to decide of coping mechanisms, you know, of what you're going to do the next time something like that happens. And it's a shame that as people that we have to unfortunately start putting on some type of armor, but, or you know, or some type of shield in order to protect our feeling. The key thing though in doing that is when you decide to start doing that, you have to make sure that it's not something that's hard, you know, or that's bitter, that's coming from a place of bitterness or shrewdness or being mean. Because a lot of times, especially in the society that we live in, people come off angry because I think things like that have happened to them so much. So it's their form of protecting themselves, and it becomes a barrier. And you need to make sure that you don't do that so that you don't become a bitter person and add on extra baggage to yourself. You know, and also too, it takes away from who you are.
Right, that you can walk by somebody and not say hello just because they haven't said hello.
You know, if you are a good person and you are a soft person, you know, you got to make sure that it doesn't take away from you changing, you know, who you are. And so I need you to think of, you know, you to figure out how you can let it all go. You know, how do you break free of things that are burdens to you? You know, so that you can shine in the light and walk in the truth that God has given you, and for you to be able to emanate that beauty that is in you, but now to allow it to come outside of you and for you to appreciate it. Because that's what you got to learn how to do, is to have to learn how to appreciate yourself, appreciate your beauty and all of the things that you have to offer and all the things that you have to give. Because I think someone here mentioned earlier that the things that you do, stress, your body reflects it. It is your image. It does affect your health. It does affect the way you look. It does affect the way that you act and how you respond and how you react to individuals and to how you treat yourself. And I think that's the most important. Realistically, and please don't take this wrong, forget everybody else, because today is about you. You've got to think of how it affects you and of your beauty, you know, and of how you got to think also too about your longevity. You want to live to be long. You want to live to be old. I want to be one of them old women on the porch with my rocking chair and my glass of lemonade.
Lemonade lace.
You know, rocking, and you know, and I want to be one of them old people that just talk the trash. Here she come again. You know, coming up here on my porch. You know, like her. You know, I want to be one of them. I want to be the one that when the grandson goes, okay, honey, I'm about to bring you up here to my grandma. She starts talking crazy. It's just my grandma crazy. You know, I want to be one. My grandma's cool, but if she calls you a name, she crazy. You know, I want to be one of them, you know. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but you know, stress is the #1 killer of women because it's heart disease. It gives us heart disease. You get heart disease from stress. And for us as women, that's the #1 killer. And so we've got to be able to combat that. And how do you combat that is by self-love, but not just love. I'm talking about being in love with yourself and displaying and showing that love. You know, talking to yourself lovingly, looking at yourself and getting excited when you see yourself. You know, that is what it is possible. I'm telling you, it is possible. Reflection, looking at you. We kind of went over this. You are a reflection of you. So now you've got to decide, what do you want to see when you look at you? You know, do you want to be someone who is depressed and not happy? We already know the answer to that. The answer to that is no. And so, again, I'm going to say, get you a mirror. Get a mirror. All right, a mirror is your best friend. Let it be your best friend. A mirror is my camera phone is my best friend. The mirror, I look at myself, I'm like, ooh. You know, sometimes I'm like, oh girl, you need to get that. No, I'm kidding. You know, but I'm just saying, I look at myself in the mirror, and let me say this, don't be afraid to make change. when I look in my mirror and I do see the flaws, there are some things that I can't change, and I've learned, oh man, when he sees me, he's just gonna have to love this. He's just gonna have to love it. You know, it is what it is. He's gonna have to love it. If he doesn't love it, I don't know what to tell him, you know.
That's called the two choice factor. You
Exactly.
either love me or you don't.
There you go. Yeah. And let
deal
me
with
say
it and
this.
move on.
As women, that's something that we've got to learn to do, is to be able, and it's the hardest thing that we can ever do, and that's walk away. To walk away from something that we love, to walk away from something that's toxic to us, to walk away from something that's not good for us. It's very, very hard. But my thing is that in order to fulfill the things that you need to fulfill, in order for you to have longevity, you've got to conquer that fear. You have to conquer that fear. You have to let your reflection, when you look at it, to be one of beauty and be one of self-acceptance, to be one of being in love. It's okay to flirt with yourself. I flirt with myself all the time. I'm telling you, do it, it's fun. All right? It is absolutely fun. I mean, you know, fun. All right? We gotta learn to admire and to adore ourselves. I like the definition. Ladies and gents, I want you to pay attention to pleasure, wonder, and approval. Pleasure, wonder, and approval. Because that's what you got to start getting for yourself. That's what you got to start having for yourself. Is to look at yourself in pleasure. Understand that if you have somebody else in your life who looks at you that way, just know that's the bonus. But that's not the finality of how you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to already feel that way, and then when they give it to you, it's just like, ooh, that extra icing on the cake. You know, but remember, you are the cake. You know, you are what makes everything spicy and fun and loving. And so, pleasure. Look at yourself in wonder. And have your own self-approval. And again, stop being your worst enemy. There are so many things out there combating us as it is. So if you've already got things from the outside that are already coming at you, you've got to be able to have some sort of shield for yourself and protection for yourself. Being in love is going to give you that. So I'm saying to you, admire and adore yourself. And if you notice, this is the thing, is self-approval. To know that it's going to have to come from you. You're going to get it from you. To love yourself, to find it, and you are going to have to dig deep. We're all different people are coming from different places, like I said earlier. Some from victimization, some from not having support, some from abuse, some from just life, trial and error, bad things that just happen. You know, and so everybody's path is going to be different. Everybody's struggles have been different. Everybody has some sort of reason why they don't love themselves, and why they need it from somebody else. And like I said, for most of us, we weren't taught in the first place. We weren't told or taught what steps that we needed to take in order to show love to ourselves, and not just speak it, and not just show it to ourselves superficially, but to show it to ourselves emotionally. You know, and to speak to ourselves in a loving way, and to think of ourselves in a loving way. Nobody's shown us how to do that. And so, for some of us, we are just now learning. But the cool thing is it's never too late. You know, remember, we're still caterpillars in our cocoon. It's just us being willing to bust out, you know, and be willing to go out on our own. So, we've already talked about show love, so I'm going to move on. Invest in you. You'll invest in a car. I'll invest in a Vera Badley purse. We invest so much into other things, but we never invest in ourselves. The most precious cargo that you have is you. That's the most precious thing that you have. It's the most precious thing that anybody who's in your life has. Mm-hmm. If you didn't, they wouldn't be there. So they know that there's value in you. You know that there's value in you. But you've got to be willing to invest in yourself before you invest in anything else. Because how can you give other things good things when you're not giving it to yourself? You may be thinking you're giving them your all, but you're not. You can't. Because if you can't give it to yourself, how can you give everything to somebody else? What you are doing is giving them the best of you, and that's good, because they are seeing the best in you. But you must be willing to invest in yourself. And you do whatever it takes to invest in yourself. You must always treat yourself. You must come first. Because when you come first, you will start to make yourself whole. And by the end of your journey, you should be whole. And the goal is to be whole before you get to the end of your journey. All right, we are not trying to be on our deathbed talking about,
shoulda, woulda, coulda.
I know, or what I should have done. You want to be, for a year from now, talking about, I'm living good. I am doing good. I'm looking good. I feel better when things are going well, because that's just a part of natural life and of our journey. The goal is to bounce back quickly and not slowly, because life is already hard as it is. You must invest in yourself. And I'm always a firm believer. You must invest in yourself spiritually. Find your own spiritual journey, your own path. You must invest in yourself mentally. Engage your mind. Interact. I mean, even that means learning a foreign language. Hey, I'm doing it muzzy for my son. All right? So I'm saying, because there are different ways to engage your mind. And when you enrich your mind, you are continuing to enrich yourself. You always need education. It strengthens you. You don't always have to show it. People don't have to show it to other people. People don't have to know that you're doing it, because they don't matter. It's all about you and what you know. And what, in the end, if you ever have to, you can bring to the table, or at least know you have the ability to bring it to the table. That's the most, is when you hear people talk, and you know that they don't know what they're talking about, but in the back of your mind, you're like, I remember this conversation, but I'm going to go ahead and let them have that conversation. You know, because you've enriched yourself, and that's very empowering. You know, and so I will say, engage your mind. Engage your mind. Interact with your mind. Enrich it. Educate it. And then don't forget the body. Your body is one of the other most important entities that you have. It is the one thing that is going to keep you going. It is the one thing that is a reflection of you, inside and out. You treat it with the utmost respect. You treat it like the temple that it is, because your body is a temple. It is not to be used. It is not to be abused. It is not for anybody to take and to do anything with. And no matter, despite what's happened to you in the past, you still have the ability to take that temple and put her into the shape and the form and the creator the way she was meant to be. And you do that through self-love. And being in love with your temple. I mean, that is one of my main models, is my body is a temple, and my body is a temple. People, I get hits on it all the time, you know, about how much I stay at the gym and the things that I do. And I say my body is a temple. You know, God gave me this shell, and it was to take care of this shell, mentally, spiritually. And one of the key things I want to say is, and I have one of these, that's why I'm saying it, a love song. Now, you know that whomever you was in love with, y'all had a song. You had a song. What about you? Do you have a love song for yourself? Get you one. I got a love song for myself. Y'all probably don't know her, but her name is Idiari. And I would sing it to you, but I can't sing. But I swear, I have a song. I have a motto, which is I fight to stay athletically fit, because I do. I fight every day. I don't want to go to the gym every day, and I make myself go. I drive, and sometimes I'm like, come on, girls. I mean, sometimes I hit my let's go, and sometimes I'm at the gym and I hate it. You know, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm here today again. Just sit in there and do it, and I do it. But I also have a song. I have a love song, and it's just for me. And when I hear this song, I will, if I'm in the bathroom by myself, I will belt it out, non-singing keys and all. But I have a love song. I have a main theme song, and then sometimes I have a theme song just for the day. Sometimes, you know, I'm just, you know, sometimes I'm feeling silly, and I would not embarrass myself with it, and I'm not going to do that to you, you know, but I do.
Okay, got one. I got one. I love Lionel Richie in the Commodores.
Oh, yeah.
You remember She's a Brick?
Guess what I'm talking about? I have went into the gym with that on my mind before. I know, I have went into the gym with that song on my mind before. Like, she's a wig. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I have. So, yeah. Let that be a theme song, girl. That's what I'm saying. You get you a theme song. Because again, that's a step towards self-love, of being in love with yourself. You know, because we're not trying to love ourselves. Everybody loves themselves. We're trying to be in love with ourselves. We're trying to flirt with ourselves. We're trying to get that rush when you see yourself, when you literally are able to look in the mirror and just shine and just smile because it's you.
That was a couple years ago.
Ladies and
Yeah.
gents, we're done. It's all about falling in love with you, falling in love with you, and I'm so glad that you ladies